If you're an athlete and you're trying to improve your vertical jump, but you're not seeing the results that you want, you might be struggling with one of these four things. Number one, you might not have enough strength. Strength is our baseline. Strength is our foundation. Strength is our engine. If you don't have enough strength, you're not going to be able to produce enough force. And if you don't have enough force, you're not going to be able to jump as high as you want. So number one being strength. If you're missing strength, working on our lower body exercises like a squat and a hinge, maybe 5 sets of 5, something where we're targeting moderate to heavy weight and moderate reps. So that's the way we're going to work on developing our strength. That is piece number one. Number two is our power. We might have the strength component, but then we don't have the power component. Now, power is going to be how quickly can I produce force, or the rate of force development, also known as RFD. So in a very short amount of time, can I go from producing no force to a high level of force? That's going to help us jump, because if I'm standing here and then I go to jump, I go from no force to all of a sudden I'm bending, I'm exploding. It needs to be a quick action in order for me to jump. So that's going to be our rate of force development, or power. How quickly can my muscles contract? How quickly can they contract together and produce the most power? So number one, strength. Number two, power. Number three, you might just not be jumping enough. Now, jumping is a skill. Dunking is a skill. Moving quickly is a skill. Any sort of skill, the more I do it, the better I'm going to get at it. So the more I can jump, I'm probably going to develop some more skills. Now, it's going to work better if I have a program, if I have a progression to follow. But a simple place to start is just get on the court and start jumping more. Or get outside and start jumping more. Can I jump up and touch the backboard? Can I jump up and touch the rim? Can I just stand here in my basement and jump as high as I can? So if you're not seeing the results you want, a great place to start is really simple. Start to jump more. And then number four, the final reason that you might not be seeing the results that you want or the progress as fast as you want might be your recovery. Recovery is such an underrated tool. And no, recovery does not mean Normatec boots and a massage gun and ice baths. While those are forms of recovery, those aren't at the highest level or the top tier of our recovery. Those things also cost money, which if we're trying to jump high, we might want to work a little more cost effective if we don't have all these things down. So our number one way to focus on that recovery is going to be simple things like how much we sleep, how much food we're eating, how much water we're consuming, having a planned program that scales as time goes on. Sometimes we do too much work too fast, and our knees hurt, and our ankles hurt, and our back hurt, and sometimes we're not doing enough. So if I can follow a plan, and then I can add in that recovery piece, I'm putting myself in a good position. So these are 4 tools, 4 topics, 4 things that might be holding you back on your jumping. So number one, your strength. Number two, your power. Number three, how much or how often you're jumping. And number 4, your recovery. Now we're going to take a deep dive at these 4 things, and I'm going to demonstrate and show some exercises that I like to use, that I like to program for my athletes that are trying to improve their vert, improve their power, and be a little more explosive on the court or field. So I look at strength. I'm going to look at a squat movement, and I'm going to look at a hinge or a deadlift, a pull for my lower body. So we want to keep it really simple. You don't need anything really complicated. I like, for developing a baseline level of strength, 5 sets of 5. You could adjust this a little bit. We could go a few more reps, a few less sets. We could alter this either way. The main important thing is that you're lifting heavy, that you're lifting strong, and you're challenging yourself. Can you challenge yourself to a point where we're not failing, but we're close to that failure, right? So we got to get close to maxing out our ability without going over that ability. Sometimes people get too caught up in maxing out in one rep max numbers, but we don't need to focus on that. You need to challenge yourself in the weight room. We should be at a 6, 7, 8 for a scale 0 to 10, an RPE of how hard it is. So first exercise is a back squat. Now when I go through a back squat, I want to make sure that I'm nice and controlled, feet are shoulder width apart. I'm using a weight that's going to challenge me, and I'm nice and controlled, right? So the weight's going down, I can control it down to 90 degrees, and then nice and smoothly come back up. So I'm gonna work on five sets of 5 reps for that. Another exercise that you could choose from for your squat could be a front squat, another variation that I love, and one that I teach often to start. So same thing, I'm gonna get into position, and then nice and controlled, down to 90. And I'd be going through 5 sets of 5. Take those 2 exercises, pick one of them, and then go through 5 sets of 5. If you're working out twice this week, maybe one day you have your front squat and one day you have your back squat. But either way, these are great ways to develop strength. When it comes to my hinge or my deadlift, I prefer an RDL, so a Romanian deadlift. I'm gonna have a slight bend in my knees as I work through it. But most of my motion is coming from the hinge at my hips. So I wanna make sure that my back is nice and flat, I'm nice and controlled, my shoulders are set back, and it's nice and smooth as I come back. Now as I go down, I don't want to slam against the ground, I wanna control it to the ground, and then I'm right back up. A few different variations we could go with this. Another option that people like to use is also the trap bar. I prefer an RDL or traditional deadlift when I'm developing that strength, and I'll save that trap bar for when I work on more power development. Now when we move into number 2, our power development, we're talking about things like rate of force development. So it's not just how much weight can I lift, but how much weight can I lift quickly and explosively. So I'm using our OVR performance system here. We can see that the iPad is hooked up to our responder over here. This is tethered to our barbell, and what it's going to do is tell me how fast I'm going. So you're going to see a number pop up on the iPad. I'm looking for a number between 1 and 1.3 meters per second. So that's how fast this bar is moving. And based off of what I am training, whether it's power, strength, speed, where I am on that continuum, that speed-strength continuum, is going to determine the number that I'm looking for. So when I'm looking at power, I'm looking to be between 1 and 1.3 meters per second. So as I get the bar loaded, this is going to track the speed when I come up. So I'm going to go down into my squat and then explode up. Down, explode. Another exercise that you could choose from for power development for our lower body would be a trap bar deadlift. Same thing as before, I'm trying to lift as heavy of a weight as I can, as fast as I can. As I previously mentioned, I'm looking between 1 and 1.3 meters per second. If I can't hit 1 meter per second, then I need to drop the weight down. And if I am faster than 1.3, then I might want to add some more weight. So this is a great tool, something that allows me to track my speed and track my workout. So just like all my other lifts, I'm down in position, and then this is going to track as I lift up how fast I go. So from the ground, I explode up, down, and then I would look at my numbers and then adjust as necessary, whether I need to go up or down in weight to meet those numbers between 1 and 1.3 meters per second. The third thing I talked about was not jumping enough. It's a skill to jump. You can be as strong as you want in the weight room, you can be as powerful as you want in the weight room, but if you're not practicing that application to sport and how you actually jump, it really doesn't mean anything how heavy you can lift or how powerful you can lift. So we have to actually put it into application and jump. Another great tool from OVR, we've got our OVR jump system here. So I've got my 2 sensors. We can see that it's green right now. When I step in between the sensors, it's gonna go red, and then I'm gonna be able to perform a jump. You're gonna see on that iPad how high I jump. So I'm gonna introduce a couple different jumps that I like, that I plan and program for my athletes. And if you're interested in improving your jump height, these might be some things that you add into your routine as well. So first thing I love, counter movement jump, hands on hips. Now you might say, aren't I going to jump less high? Am I not going to get as high with my hands on my hips? Yes, that's correct. This is a great way to test power of our legs and to track that over time, especially for data like we collect in every session. So hands on hips, I'm standing between the sensors, I'm down, up, and I explode, get 23 inches. I'm gonna look at that, step in again, give myself a few seconds of rest, and then I'm gonna go again. I love having a number in front of me or my athlete, which enables us to compete with ourselves. We can compete with the person to the right and to the left of us, and we can compete with ourselves. So I see that number 23. My goal is to jump higher than that. Bend down, explode, 22.7. I didn't beat it. This is something that I do at the beginning of all my lifts with my athletes. We usually do between 1 and 3 sets of our counter movement, where we go 3 times. Another great jump. I love an approach jump. So I'm backing up, I'm creating some power, and then I'm jumping and exploding into it. Now I am a left-right jumper when I come in and explode off 2. So I'm gonna start with my left foot back. I'm jumping in, and then I explode. Looking for a number close to 30 here. 30.2 on my first jump. Again, I'm trying to compete with myself. I don't care what anyone else got. I'm just looking at my number, 30.2. Great. Can I go and can I beat that again? $27.1. Didn't have as much power as I went into it. But again, that's something that I'm going to program with my athletes and something that I'm going to work on because it's a skill. So those are 2 great jumps that I can do in a minimal amount of space. I can stand there, perform a counter movement, and then I can also run into it for an approach jump. The fourth and final piece that we talked about was recovery. So often athletes are lacking in recovery, and it's just some small things that we can change. I mentioned earlier that it's not necessarily the Normatec boots and the massage guns and the ice baths and the saunas. While all those things are great recovery tools, the biggest bang for your buck, the biggest return on investment is going to be sleep. Most athletes are not sleeping enough. Whether it's college, high school, middle school, most kids are really busy with sports. They're really busy with school. They're really busy with their social life. And sometimes we realize that sleep is what's lacking. Athletes, on average, should be getting somewhere between 8 and 10 hours of sleep. When we sleep, our muscles recover. So this is the time that after a hard workout, after I lift, after I jump, I need to fuel up my body with food and water, enough food and water, and then I need enough sleep. So prioritize how much sleep you're getting, the quality of your sleep, when you're going to sleep, right? And maybe adding and supplementing some naps throughout the day or throughout the week to help you reach that goal of 8 to 10 hours a day or night. So sleep is a huge piece of my recovery, but also food, fuel. So many athletes are under fueling. They're working really hard, but they're not seeing the results that they want because they're not putting enough into their body. So I need carbs, I need protein in my body. Carbs are going to be my energy, my fuel source to keep me going, to run around on the court, to run around on the field, to lift weights, to jump. I burn through tons of carbs as an athlete, so I need to give myself that fuel. That's the gas that you're putting in your car. I need to eat enough calories, enough carbs in order to have energy. And then I need enough protein in order to rebuild my muscles. Every time I squat, every time I jump, every time I lift, I'm putting micro tears into my fibers, my muscle fibers, and then they need to repair over time, and then that's how they get stronger. So they do that with protein. The more protein I can have in my diet and in my body, the faster I'm going to be able to recover. And when I combine those things of sleep and then fuel for my body, I'm going to see better results. So I need all 4 of these things in order to improve my jumping. So if you're not seeing the results you want or the results aren't coming fast enough, then let's focus on these 4 things and see if you have any gaps in your training. Are you strong enough? Are you powerful enough? And are you lifting powerfully, right? Am I moving that bar really fast? Because that's a different skill set than moving the bar really slow for strength. Am I jumping enough? Am I jumping frequently enough throughout the week? Throughout a session, am I hitting a certain threshold that's going to help me when I translate to the court and I play my game? And then the 4th thing and final thing is just that recovery. Am I getting enough recovery? Start cheap. Sleep is free, right? We can drink enough water. We can look into some research on food and find cheap food sources that are going to fuel my body. It doesn't need to be this crazy, expensive, extravagant thing. I need to sleep more, I need to drink more water, and I need more fuel in my body. So take a look. Are you doing these 4 things, or are you lacking in one of those areas? Try adding that into your program and see if you can get better results. If you found that this video was helpful, if you liked the content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And then send a message if you want to get going. We can get stuff going in person, we can do stuff online, but please reach out if you're interested in Conquer Human Performance, helping you take your game to the next level.